The Arctic, a desolate expanse of ice and snow, a land of unforgiving beauty. I've always been drawn to the unknown, the unexplained. The Arctic holds mysteries, secrets buried beneath millennia of ice. We set out to investigate rumors, whispers of strange structures, legends told by Inuit tribes of ancient beings and forgotten cities. Our team, armed with scientific equipment and a healthy dose of skepticism, ventured into the frozen heart of the unknown. The biting wind howled like a banshee, a constant reminder of the Arctic's raw power. The snow, a blinding white, stretched endlessly, broken only by the occasional jagged peak of a glacier. The air itself felt heavy, pregnant with an eerie silence that pressed against our eardrums. We were alone, completely isolated from civilization. Our only lifeline, the radio, crackled with static, a constant reminder of our precarious position. Legends spoke of an ill-fated expedition in the 1930s. A team of scientists vanished without a trace, their last transmission a garbled message of impossible structures. Some dismissed it as madness, the effects of extreme isolation. But I believe something else was at play. Something sinister, something ancient. We followed the rumored route of the expedition, our snowmobiles struggling against the unforgiving terrain. The sun, a pale ghost in the sky, offered little warmth. Days bled into nights, the endless white landscape playing tricks on our minds. The silence, broken only by the crunch of snow beneath our treads, was deafening. It was as if the Arctic itself was watching us, waiting. We pressed on, driven by a thirst for answers, a need to uncover the truth. The rumors, the legends, they felt different here. They felt real. Then on the horizon, a shape emerged from the blinding white. At first, it seemed like a trick of the light, a mirage. But as we drew closer, the shape solidified, resolving itself into something impossible. Monoliths, towering structures of perfectly smooth black obsidian. They rose from the ice like the teeth of some ancient beast, their surfaces reflecting the pale sunlight like mirrors. There were no seams, no markings, no indication of how they were constructed. They were utterly alien, defying all logic and explanation. A cold dread gripped my heart. A primal fear I couldn't shake. These structures, they felt wrong, out of place, as if they didn't belong in this world. We set up camp, a safe distance from the monoliths. The scientific part of me wanted to dismiss them, to find a rational explanation, but deep down, I knew this was something different, something truly unexplainable. The silence was even more profound near the monoliths. It wasn't just the absence of sound, but an oppressive stillness that seemed to suck the air from our lungs. Our voices, when we dared to speak, sounded thin and weak, swallowed by the vast emptiness. We began our investigation, cautiously approaching the monoliths. Our instruments, designed to measure electromagnetic fields and radiation, went haywire. Needles spun wildly, then died. Readings spiked, then plummeted to zero. The monoliths seemed to disrupt everything, defying our attempts to understand them. They were like a glitch in reality, a tear in the fabric of our world. As night fell, the temperature plummeted. The wind picked up, howling around the monoliths like mournful spirits. We huddled in our tents, the thin fabric offering little comfort against the biting cold and the growing sense of dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, scrutinized by something ancient and unknowable. The next morning, we awoke to a fresh layer of snow. But something was different. The air felt charged, buzzing with an unseen energy. And the monoliths, they had changed. Faint markings, barely visible to the naked eye, now adorned their surfaces. Intricate patterns, spirals, and glyphs that seemed to writhe and shift as we watched. They were hypnotic, drawing our gaze, pulling us in. One of our team, a geologist named Dr. Chen, reached out to touch one of the glyphs. In an instant, a jolt of energy arced from the monolith, throwing him back. He lay on the ice, his body contorted at an unnatural angle, his eyes wide with terror. We were in over our heads. These were not just ancient ruins, they were something far more powerful, far more dangerous than we could have imagined. We had stumbled upon something that was meant to remain hidden, buried beneath the ice. Panic set in. The cold air seemed to freeze our very thoughts, making it hard to think clearly. We had to get out of there, to contact help. Every second felt like an eternity as we scrambled to pack our gear and find a way to communicate, but the radio remained stubbornly silent. No matter how many times we tried, there was no signal, no hope of reaching the outside world. We were trapped, alone in the vast, unforgiving wilderness with something ancient and malevolent. The silence was deafening, broken only by the howling wind. As we packed up the camp, I noticed something else. A strange feeling crept over me, a sense that we were being watched, a faint glimmer in the distance reflecting off the ice. It was like a beacon, calling out to us through the blinding whiteness. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it was enough to catch my eye and spark a flicker of hope. But it was there, a flicker of something different in the endless white expanse. It stood out against the monotony, a sign that we were not entirely alone. Curiosity warred with fear. The unknown was terrifying, but the possibility of finding something, anything, was too strong to ignore. Part of me wanted to run, to put as much distance between us and the monoliths as possible. The fear was almost paralyzing, but another part, the part drawn to the unknown, urged me closer. The glimmer was like a magnet, pulling me towards it. I had to know what was out there. The need to understand, to uncover the mystery was overwhelming. I convinced the remaining members of the team to investigate. Reluctantly, they agreed, driven by the same mix of fear and curiosity. We left Dr. Chen's body, a grim reminder of the forces at play. His sacrifice weighed heavily on us, but we had to move forward. Our snowmobiles, their engines straining in the thin air, carried us towards the glimmer. The journey was arduous, each mile feeling like a battle against the elements. Each revolution of the treads felt like a step into the abyss, a descent into the heart of the unknown. The tension was palpable, every sound amplified by the silence. The glimmer grew brighter as we approached, resolving itself into a structure even more impossible than the monoliths. It loomed ahead, a beacon of both hope and dread. It was a dome, a perfect hemisphere of ice, shimmering like a diamond under the pale sun. The light refracted through its crystalline structure, casting a mesmerizing glow across the frozen wasteland. It dwarfed the monoliths, its scale almost incomprehensible. The sheer size of it made everything else seem insignificant, like mere pebbles beside a mountain. It seemed to grow out of the ice itself, a seamless part of the landscape. The dome was not just in the ice, it was of the ice, an integral piece of this frozen world. As we drew closer, I felt a strange pull, a magnetic force drawing me towards the dome. It was as if the dome had a will of its own, calling out to us. It was like a siren song beckoning me closer, promising answers to questions I hadn't even dared to ask. The allure was irresistible, a whisper in the wind that spoke directly to my soul. The snowmobiles skidded to a halt at the base of the dome. The engine's roar faded into silence, leaving us in awe of the monumental structure before us. Its surface was perfectly smooth, reflecting our distorted images back at us. Each reflection seemed to tell a different story, a different version of reality. It was like looking into another world, a world of ice and shadow. The reflections created an eerie, almost dreamlike quality, blurring the lines between what was real and what was illusion. A sense of unease washed over me, a primal fear that gnawed at the edges of my mind. It was as if the dome held ancient secrets, secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. This place was wrong, a perversion of nature. The dome stood as a testament to something beyond our understanding, something that defied the natural order. And yet I couldn't tear my gaze away. The more I looked, the more I felt drawn into its depths, as if it held the answers to the mysteries of the universe. I was drawn to it, compelled to uncover its secrets. The dome was a puzzle, a riddle wrapped in ice, waiting for someone brave enough to solve it. We approached the dome cautiously, each step taken with a mix of trepidation and curiosity. Our footsteps were muffled by the thick, powdery snow, creating an eerie silence around us. As we drew closer, I noticed a faint humming sound, almost imperceptible at first, but growing steadily louder. It was a low-frequency vibration that seemed to emanate from the ice itself, resonating through the frozen landscape. The sound resonated in my teeth, a strange sensation that was both unsettling and intriguing. It sent shivers down my spine, making the cold feel even more biting. The humming grew louder as we neared the dome, a pulsating rhythm that seemed to sync with our racing hearts. The sound became almost unbearable, a relentless pressure that made us wince in pain. It was like the heartbeat of some colossal creature slumbering beneath the ice, its presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. My head throbbed in time with the pulsating sound, each beat sending waves of discomfort through my skull. My vision began to blur at the edges, the world around me distorting in a surreal haze. We reached out to touch the dome, our gloved hands trembling with a mixture of fear and anticipation, unsure of what we would find. Our fingers hovered just above the surface, the air itself seeming to vibrate with energy. As our fingers made contact, the ice hummed with a life of its own, the vibration intensifying until it felt like my bones would shatter from the force. The sensation was overwhelming, a powerful force that seemed to penetrate to the very core of our beings. And then, the dome opened. Not with a sound, but with a silent parting of the ice, as if it were alive, responding to our touch in a way that defied explanation. The ice moved with an eerie grace, as if it were a living entity, welcoming us into its depths. An entrance formed before us, a dark, yawning chasm that beckoned us forward. A wave of cold air washed over us, carrying with it the scent of something ancient and alien, a smell that spoke of untold eons and forgotten histories. We exchanged uneasy glances, our faces pale in the reflected light of the ice. The unknown beckoned us, promising answers and horrors in equal measure, a tantalizing mix of discovery and dread. We hesitated for a moment, the weight of our decision pressing down on us. But we had come this far and there was no turning back. We steeled ourselves, determined to uncover the secrets that lay within. With a final, collective breath, we stepped into the dark, icy interior of the dome, ready to face whatever awaited us inside.